Good now, everybody, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show. It's your place for helpful news, commentary, and answers to your crypto questions. My name is Evan. I'm your host with my good friend and colleague, Mr. Alex Popovich, and our community, the Faceless Many, is your place to, we say, rise up. Everyday people learning about this stuff so that we can leverage it to write a better future. I'm glad you're here. I'm looking forward to your questions. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're not catching the live show, then join us over on TikTok. We're here every Monday through Thursday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's a great place to be. Oh my God, I'm going to have to change my shirt. I can't see these comments for crap. Wow. It's so hard. But if you leave me a comment on the YouTube stream, I'll see it there. If you want to have a conversation with me and Alex, or you want to engage with the community, it's totally free to hop in the general chat at the Discord, which is at the link in my bio or at theriseupmorningshow.com. And if you haven't yet, do be sure to sign up for the Rise Up Morning Show newsletter. It's the best, briefest bullet points from our show once a week. I hate newsletters. I promise you I've tried to make this one as valuable as possible by just cutting out the fluff, getting straight to the good stuff so that you can keep up with the show. Grand Rising Phoenix, it's great to see you. Great to see you, Sonoran. I just love getting on every day and seeing everybody here. It's one of my favorite things to see the regular folks who come by. Sorry, the comments, they're hard to read. I've got this white shirt on. It was not the move. I might have to change my shirt in this live stream right now, or put on a blue shirt or something. Let me see. Hang on. Where's my shirt? I'm in a rolly chair. I'm at the Sheraton Airport Hotel in Charlotte. Lucy and I got stranded on our way back yesterday. Not stranded. The folks at American Airlines were actually extremely helpful. We missed our connecting flight because it was delayed leaving Detroit. So we spent the night in Charlotte. We're heading home to Memphis from Michigan, visiting the family. Yeah, I think I'm going to wheel over here. Whoop, 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 whoop. Put on my blue shirt so I can see the comments. Let me know how you're doing this morning. Sorry, Lucy. Lucy's like, where are we going? We're going for a ride? Look at Lucy. Whoa. Lucy's like, could you stop? It's not that funny. I think it's pretty funny. Okay, here we go. If you're just joining, welcome. There's a lot of crypto content on TikTok. It is a difficult place to learn about crypto, but if you're curious, this is the place to start. Let me know what questions you have. Let me know if you're if you heard about Bitcoin, if you're curious about the crypto markets, if you're skeptical or scared. All those things are totally valid here. We're not going to make you feel silly for whatever it is you feel. And if you're returning and you haven't said hi yet, let me know how you're doing this morning. Alex is going to be here in a moment. In the meantime, if you tap the screen, if you're watching on TikTok, that's super helpful to us. Doesn't cost you a thing. Lets us get the word out to people who might not have discovered the show yet. And if you feel so inclined, please feel free to tap the share button. You can save the link and you can send it on, or you can share my profile. As I said, we're live Monday through Thursday. Our goal is to reach as many people as possible with a better story about what cryptocurrency is, how to engage with it safely, even without spending any money, because despite what you may have heard, crypto is going to be so much more than currency. The way that your smartphone does so much more than phone calls. And I had a conversation recently with somebody in our Discord community. They were asking whether or not I thought meme coins would scare newcomers, everyday people like you and me, out of the crypto space because there are so many scams, schemes, and rug pulls. And the thing I said was, no, I don't think that meme coins are going to do that. I think that meme coins, for the most part, are pretty apparently gambling. You see a token called Elon's baby dog, and I hope you know that it's not the place to put your 401k. It's totally gambling. And I think it's much more by crypto tokens posing as legitimate businesses that run away with your money, that never come to fruition. Alex, good morning. How you doing, man?
What's up, dude?
Man, it's good to see you. I don't know if you heard that, but did you see that comment in Discord yesterday? I would love your take. It was just someone was asking, do you think that retail traders will be scared off by meme coins because there are so many scams, schemes, and rug pulls? And my response was, I don't think so, because I think a lot of people know what meme coins are, for the most part. I think there are some people who will see, wow, Elon's baby dog went up 5,000% in an hour, and just go all in. But I think it's pretty apparent once you've seen it once or twice that, oh, this is a casino, and most products pushing meme coins like Pump.Fun, they're very straightforward. This is a casino. You're speculating with your friends, and I think it's more likely that people are going to get burned by the latest round of Fugazi narrative tokens, your new favorite AI project that doesn't do anything but has a crypto attached to it that seems more legitimate because they're using the right buzzwords, and which ends up going nowhere. I think those kind of projects are going to be the kind that lead people to say things like, oh, this crypto stuff doesn't really work, because it's going to make them think they understand it when they really don't. I think those are a lot more harmful for our space. What do you think?
That's a really good question. Um, I'll ruminate a little bit, but my initial thought is that I think that I agree with you. Although I think that memes still have a long way to go. I'm lightly encouraged by the better representation we've seen. Like I don't think, and again, this is me saying this with context and experience, and that's not the case for everybody. But I would think that you could look at Pump.Fun as a website, and no sane person would ever think like this is the place for investors. You know what I mean? Like it looks like a slot machine. It literally looks like a casino game. It's got flashing lights and everything. Are you stuck in mid travel?
Yes, you missed my cold opening, which was that I got the vibes from you, man. We left late out of Detroit, and so we had to stay the night in Charlotte. And it's
Dude,
not just you, it's Lucy. When I travel with Lucy, Lucy and I have slept overnight in more airports, airport hotels, and terminals than any person I have ever traveled with. I think we just got that vibe about us that says keep us
no,
overnight.
the Charlotte airport is cursed. You will sleep there. If you have a layover in Charlotte, your odds of sleeping there at least one night are so high. I can't tell you the number of times I've slept in an airport. 85% of them have been at the Charlotte airport.
Yeah, speaking of proper labeling, all they got to do is tell us like just book somewhere
Yeah,
else, man.
I know.
Book another layover. Yeah. So,
Um,
we got a $12 meal voucher that'll pay for some chips and maybe a bottle of water and a free night in a hotel. To be fair, the Sheraton Airport Hotel is quite nice,
what
and
airline
it
are
was
you flying?
American. And I actually had a great customer service experience with the guests, the gate attendants. It was I can't complain. It's American though, I know.
I could
I heard
complain.
they went bankrupt and got bought out recently, and that's been part of why they're having troubles like this.
Dude,
Mismanagement.
okay, that's a topic for another day when I have more time. I American
Yeah.
shafted me so hard on after consensus, and they offered nothing in return. Nothing. No hotel. You were exclusively on your own.
Ugh,
Yeah,
that's gross, man.
sleeping in airports, canceled 5 flights, no vouchers, no nothing. Anyway,
Yeah. This show is obviously not sponsored by American Airlines, but maybe it
it
could be.
shouldn't be.
Maybe they
It
could make it
won't.
right.
It won't be. I
I will
refuse.
absolutely die on that hill, he said.
Yeah, I would not. There's a couple
Um,
things that if they sponsored, I would not take it.
yeah.
Um,
Okay. Okay.
so yeah, the disclaimer there is that not everyone thinks that way, and not everyone has the same. Um, you might look at that and maybe you won't think that it's like legitimate investing, but that you would just think that that is what all of crypto is a slot machine. And in a sense, honestly, that is a healthier way to look at it because you would be closer to being right than you would be to being wrong. Like I feel like I can count on maybe two hands the number of things that are like legitimately using a tokenized asset as something that I would call an investment vehicle. And I think the rest of it is just rampant speculation, and they probably don't need to exist. And actually, I filmed a video yesterday that I'm not sure which day I'm going to end up posting it because I'm currently like stacking up content for the weekend. But it's from my new friend Sam, who is a big Web3 gaming individual. All of his information's in the video, but I'll leave it in the Discord. 100% recommend following him. It's like he would probably be my top recommendation of someone to follow if you wanted to learn about Web3 gaming. And he posted a thread that was really interesting. That was like, what do founders really think of Web3 gaming? And it was an anonymous questionnaire that he got some pretty high profile people, I'm assuming, based on how connected he is, people to answer. Bullish, bearish, Web3 gaming. What are the problems? What are the good things? What do you think? Are you optimistic, pessimistic, blah, blah, blah. And they all said very similar things, which was interesting. And it was encouraging to see because they're all just sick and tired of like a shitty game, launching a shitty token, slapping a pyramid scheme in there, and calling it a game, calling it Web3. And they said, like, we're advertising to the wrong people. We're screaming into the void of an echo chamber. There's no legitimate effort being made to go outside of this and to talk to other people. I thought that was encouraging, but I think that's not. I mean, that is Web3 gaming for sure, but it's everything.
Yes.
The entire industry is like, you have your niche. It's mostly pyramid schemes. You're screaming into a void. The same 25 people are selling the same 300 tokens to each other. And that is most of it. And I think like we're starting to break out of it a little bit, but like I am so much more encouraged by the things that are not following the traditional model. And I just wish that was a more, the shitty part is that the people who build stuff who want like or need funding, they kind of have to do certain things because the VCs and the investor groups and the exchanges and the grant providers and whatever, they all want to see the same dumb shit. And that's what they ask for. They want to see a token. They want to see something that they can launch, that they can sell, that they can make money off of the fees for or whatever. I mean, I've lived that personally. I presented an extremely logical case as to why, with lots of proof from the things in the market doing poorly, as to why we didn't want to launch a token with Shades of Sin. And honestly, that's why the game doesn't exist in playable form yet, because we turned down multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars in funding because we didn't want to do a token. And as soon as we said that, they completely, like, they didn't care about, they never asked once about, like, what is the game? How does the game work? What's the point of it? What is the player going to experience? Never once was that a question. It was like, token plan. When is it going to launch? Give me the tokenomics, like explain the roadmap to me for monetization and whatever. There was no question or answer about, and that was MEXC that was asking that.
Yeah, and that's to your point about like most of these companies. It is really disheartening that people, major exchanges, leading layer ones, people you would expect to understand like what Chris Dixon calls the computer versus the casino, people you would expect to understand like the computer part of it or the incentive problem, who really should know better. It blows my mind that they don't.
Yeah.
It's short-sighted.
No, it's really sad because it's kneecapping that space, and it's making it harder to be taken seriously because the people like that need to be the ones that help tell the story, because honestly we just sound like crazy people if we're just sitting here by ourselves, saying stuff, Tori. Just saying stuff like this, you just I don't know, it, like, to me, I can hear it and it sounds good to me, but like I think to most people they would like tune in for the first time and they would see like, oh, this is the norm, and then there's like some weird fringe influencers who are saying, no, this is not the way, and you're like, okay, you're a hippie. You sound like a hippie, the hippie of crypto, to say it like that.
Yeah, it's stupid that those voices are marginalized to me when they really, they should be. It makes me, again, I know I talk about Chris all the time, but it makes me so thankful for Chris Dixon that he's like in a position of influence, that people pay attention to him, and he can tell that story. I don't know, even somebody like Vitalik, it almost is worth like just going and getting focused on making $1 billion trillion and then talking about it, because anything you say at that point, people will validate and justify. It's like, was it Mac talking yesterday about the talking heads in our space right now? A lot of the influencers, a lot of the people who are educating others, who are getting attention, they just have bad takes. You wonder if they're if they're new, or if they're just a little dull. Just stupid. Yeah, exactly. And I really loved yesterday, man. What a great conversation we had yesterday. Tori, thank you for coming up. I love that Machiste said what he said about financial incentives. I wish I could nutshell it, because I want to summarize it in a video. I might go back and find the clip, but for anybody who missed it, Alex, maybe you can help me. It was like he was arguing that a lot of people say we're here for the money. And if that was true, if the money was enough, if the money was the reason we were here, then every single pay to earn, walk to earn, you play to earn, you name it, eat to earn, would work, would still be here. It would be sustainable. But that's not all that people care about. People want a fun experience. They want a simple experience. They want something that actually adds value to their lives. They want to do the things they already do better. And if they aren't solving problems, if it's adding problems to their lives, if it's not creating any value for them, they're out as soon as they extract whatever little value that they can. It's just where are we gonna go?
That was the common theme, and that's why, like, on that space the other day, we basically just eviscerated Gala for a while, because that was the same idea of extraction, which is like the major players, the people with influence, the people with large platforms, networks, huge war chests, whatever, are pushing an extractive economy of Web3 into the world. And that's why, I mean, that is exactly the reason that Mac and I gave to MEXC and Core when we were like, why don't we want a token? And it's like, because the world does not need another shitcoin. The world needs a game that is fun. And I would rather people like start to play the game and then stop playing it because it's not fun, so that we can make an adjustment to fix the player experience and work on it that way, instead of selling them a shitcoin, having it do poorly, and then basically owing these people money forever. Like, that is the relationship that you set up, which I also know firsthand. It really does not matter in the current model of how tokens work what you actually deliver. If you cannot force the price of the thing to go up, absolutely nobody cares. Case in point, like, TFM is a great example, and actually quite a few different NFT projects were great examples, where you do a thing. Actually, lots of not just NFTs but fungible tokens as well. Launch a thing, attach a token to it, because that's the way that it works. Create a plan, publicize the plan, and then do the plan, and then everyone all of a sudden is like, wait, it's now here. I'm not a millionaire. This is trash. And then that's it. Then you suddenly don't care anymore, because that you were there under false pretenses in the beginning. You were there exclusively to extract value and make money. And even if you don't say that, even if you like specifically say other stuff, people sort of just assume that you are like implying that it's going to happen, or that you're, they'll infer that is the vibe, just because that's usually the vibe, which makes it really hard to talk about other stuff.
Thinking about our conversation yesterday about launching a token, would you, if you could go back and talk to yourself a few years ago, and you could talk to yourself and say, hey, future me, I'm about to build this community to invite people to participate in this story. We're attaching it to an NFT. It's called the Faceless Many. What would you advise yourself to do differently to mitigate that mindset? It was a very different time for us. It was a very different time for the market. But I kind of wonder, like, based on what you said yesterday about you just wouldn't launch a fungible token, would you do a token like the Faceless Many again? And if so, how would you change it?
Yeah,
Hard to
I
go
would
back,
definitely,
but
I would definitely do it differently. Well, I mean, I think honestly, things that I would change have less to do with what the story was or what the plan was or what we actually did, and more about just how the model was actually going to work. I mean, where it was built, um, and then the hand
where
the
it was
hand
built, number one. Jesus.
yeah, the handling. Did you see both frame it shut down yesterday?
Yeah, I sure did.
Yeah,
The Multiverse X marketplace known as Frame It, which has been around for 3 years,
years.
4 years, almost 3 years,
Yeah, three.
finally closed their doors.
The comments made me so angry because it was all a bunch of people. It was so many people just saying, "Oh, my favorite marketplace." And it's like, shut the hell up. If it was your favorite, you would have been using it, and they would have been. It's just so stupid. Those guys are great examples of people who just got done so absolutely dirty by favoritism, um, which is my biggest beef with the multiverse X ecosystem. It's just blatant favoritism. So I mean, I don't know. I learned a ton of lessons, and I would do a ton of stuff differently about TFM. Um, I would do a lot less differently about the corrupted,
Yeah.
because already like a ton was learned and put into practice by that point. But no, I mean, I think some parts of it make me very happy because they exist, and like all of these different people that came into our lives because of that. Um, but I think we were so concerned with compliance and like trying to understand and follow regulations that existed or barely existed, and that ended up being one of the things that hurt us the most. Was not and not, that's not to say that like I wish we would have broken the law, but I think I wish we would have just like, I don't know. I don't even really know how to phrase it. The single biggest thing was the taxes. Taxes just really hosed us on the back
Big
end
time.
of the mint. Um, and I think that is a, if I extrapolate the lesson from that, at a time when people, when it would have been better for all of us, it would have been better for all of the holders and us as a team to have just like immediately sold the entire like mint treasury. That would have been the single best thing we could have done for the ecosystem. However, for multiple reasons at the time, that never even entered our heads. One, because we knew how taxes worked and we didn't want to get scalped. And then two, because we knew that the second any of the mint funds moved to an exchange and got sold, especially a huge chunk, um, and my note to myself is that we would have been able to overcome the shitstorm that would have been the Twitter bud army about selling the mint crypto. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a deep question because
Kind of a deep question.
I wouldn't say that I regret any of it, but I can totally see like where we were victims of circumstance in a lot of different spaces. I mean, honestly, it sounds weird, but I think like, figuring out a way to not deliver the entire roadmap as quickly as we did, because it just led to like a really rapid feeling in everyone like, oh, there's now nothing to look forward to, when we were thinking like, no, it would be so bullish to be the first, or up there as the first projects to just like have a plan and deliver the entire plan. And it ended up not being the case. That ended up being a detriment more than a benefit.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you about how nice it would have been to have a proper treasury. Um, in terms of a non-volatile plan for runway, all the different kinds of things we could have done. I just wish we would have gone harder on the story. We went really hard on the story at the start, And I sound like a broken record because that's all I ever think is story, story, story. And the communication of the story and getting more pieces of it into people's hands that weren't just the NFT, so that we could have expanded it and invited more people to participate and then given them ways to play, to tell it. I still love that story. And I still believe that tokens are such a great medium for telling a story like that. I mean, I saw your message to Neil and Tristan the other day about revitalizing some of the narrative stuff. And if we had even $10,000 to throw at a problem like that, or can you imagine if we really had done the show with the Treasury, leaned into that? I wish we'd leaned into this at the same time too.
Yep.
Hindsight's 2020, man. But
I think about it every single day.
listen, I know you said it. I said it. I'm telling you,
The good
I always just want to do shows.
the good news is um, the good news is that nothing that we did is like making me lose sleep
No.
for any
Yeah,
reason
we
other
did
than like,
something
God, I
serious.
could have, like, this could have been better, or this could have been, but instead of just being like, the way that I imagine or I hope lots of people who have sold tokens have had to be. And I mean, I think there is still like a path forward if we embrace that kind of thing. The shitty part is that you're just sort of in a situation where, obviously you can't add anything else that's monetized for sale into the ecosystem. You just kind of have to like figure it out. But there's been enough of a cultural shift in other places of Web3 to where there are people on other networks who see, the value of it and are willing to kind of help and chip in. And honestly, that looks like Solana right now.
Yeah.
Which is the only place that I have any traction. So that's exciting.
Well, in other news, my hotel coffee maker doesn't seem to want to work, and I've already got the water in and I've already got the coffee in, so I'm about to get rugged by the airline twice, and I could just cry. Michael, Tori, Earthy Hand Vibes, it's good to see you guys here. Earthy Hand Vibes said it almost seems like you need a business strategy, like it's a full-time business. And I have to tell you, we worked on this thing pre-launch with the 6 of us before the team grew to 12. For what? It was at least half a year, but maybe a little longer.
It was absolutely a full-time thing. The difference is that at the time, there were no models that you could emulate for good business strategies in Web3 that were similar to this.
No, so we had to steal a lot of Web 2 stuff. And I think it worked. We had a lawyer, had an accountant. How many NFT projects, token projects, let alone in 2021, were, lawyered up? Oh my God.
Yep. So it's, yeah, lots of lessons learned is the moral of that story.
Fudge. I'm just so sad about this.
Tori's 4 hours from Ann Arbor, my old stopping grounds.
I love Ann Arbor. I wish I was there. My sister lives in Ann Arbor now. I am in Charlotte. I'm probably closer to Alex than I am to you. I probably am not pretty close. Charlotte's North Carolina? I don't remember. Mm-hmm. Get my Carolina straight.
That is.
I could just cry about this coffee, man. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to be so distracted by it, but it's just one little button, dude, and it won't even move. What the hell am I doing wrong?
Seems metaphorical in some way.
It seems metaphorical. Yeah, exactly. You said something a second ago that made me just long for the soundboard again. You were starting to say, I don't even think that, but you said, I don't even think. And then you paused. I just want that as a soundbite so bad. I don't even think.
I did have a no data, just vibes moment with somebody on Twitter yesterday. They were, you could tell from the tweet, it was like I don't know. It was just one of those, faceless NFT personality people. And they said that they were so exhausted by the celebrity memes. And for context, like, I think that Waka Flocka kind of helped kill the celebrity memes.
Waka Flocka Flame?
Yeah, that dipshit. he
I'm sorry.
so this is
What?
not his first. This is not his first tangle, but he sort of just assumed that nobody would remember. So it was one of those moments where like the saga started where he tweeted something about who's going to teach me about Solana, and
Oh, okay.
and the first top comment on his thread was from Zach XBT saying this you, and that's never a good way to start your.
For anybody who doesn't know, because some people might not know, Zach XBT is a Twitter researcher, journalist. He is the GOAT of running a blockchain explorer and has exposed countless. I mean, he's got receipts for days. So please continue.
I would not call him. I would not put Twitter in his title. He is a legitimate forensic analyst
Yeah, that
of
downplays him.
blockchain
Yeah,
data.
totally. On-chain
Um,
sleuth #1. He should have a
yeah,
movie someday, honestly.
no, he's brilliant. He has just in the things that I've seen him call out. He has identified billions of dollars in scams. So basically, anytime someone big tweets about doing something in crypto, there's a pretty good chance that Zach is in their comments proving to everyone with blockchain data that they've already scammed people. So that was essentially what it was. He's like, Waka, you already rugged people. What are you doing? What do you mean? Teach me. Um, anyway, then Waka kept tweeting about this and that and getting into this and that, and everybody was just like, please, for the love of God, just support other people's memes. Like, don't don't make your own, please, for the love of God. Well, anyway, 3 a.m. on one random night rolls around and good old Waka launches a meme and snipes about 45% of the supply immediately,
Yeah.
and then craters it. So and everyone was just like deep sigh. Yeah. No, he mean I think the name they were looking for was Zach XBT.
Oh. Hang on, I'll type that one. I'll type that one instead. You know
So
Mr. Flame, WF Flame, cultural commentator and critic?
yeah, look, resident shithead. Um, anyway, so that was a big old bummer, but because I mean, you know, the successful one, Iggy's token is a mother is
Mother.
down tremendously.
And
Uh,
the Caitlyn Jenner token too.
yeah,
I don't know if that one's up or down.
I don't remember. I those just made me whinge, so I avoided them. Um, I mean, it is whatever it is. But the point is that this person was clearly just over it, and and they were just like, I don't know, guys, Billy, I'm so sick of this and that, and Billy's a dog and he's cute, and I don't know. And I was just like, dude, that is the most no data, just vibes moment
Yeah.
ever. Just someone
Yeah.
trying to find some sense of normalcy, and it's like, you know, because the racist undertones on Solana memes like made a small comeback, and then there's all these celebrity rugs and memes, and then there's all these other shitty things that are going on in the casino just got like really aggressive, and then Billy came out, and everyone was that was I don't even know where that one's at right now, but
No, but I heard was it Mahir who was telling us that it's just a silly Willy Billy. It's the same people launched it and they're just moving liquidity from one token to another, which
I
honestly is a really smart thing to do, but scammy and illegal as hell.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, I don't know. I would be lying if I said I looked into it at all. Like,
yeah. Was it Mahir too who posted, or was it you in the Situation Room posted about a company who is creating website templates so that you can like build scam projects in a click? Do you know what I'm talking about?
oh yeah, I don't know who posted it, but I saw something else about that. Just like, crap. Now, how can I tell if I'm really being scammed or if I'm being fake scammed? It was just-
I was like, what? And they were at a conference or something. The context of this post, I think it was me here who posted, and I don't have my computer. I'll look it up another time. But it was essentially a company like a. I got the vibe that they were like a Foursquare,
Mm,
make a website competitor, and maybe like a business stack. There are a lot of businesses in the crypto space that are like, we're a marketing agency. You got a token, we'll pump it, stuff like that. But this product was, we will help you create or market or wrap up a token so that you can just take people's money. You can make them think it's a legitimate project. We know how to market projects so they seem legitimate so that you can make a lot of money. Was like the TLDR value pitch. It was wild to me. Also, I got the coffee maker to work, but that's how it started, and this is how it's going. Look at this. Look
Yikes.
at this. So, we might need a little cleanup on aisle 2.
Yikes.
But we got coffee, people.
On that note, Robbie, I'm about to jump. It is the kid's birthday today, so we're about to go pick up his friend and get everyone piled into the car and
Get
do
lit.
the whole water park thing.
Get a couple of Prime Energy drinks, sit down on the couch with our video games, and just go wild.
That's later. First stop is the water park.
Woo-wee.
So I just wanted to come on and get Evan kicked off. I don't know how long you're gonna chill and do some questions, but there you go. Robbie can come keep you company.
Perfect.
So, and then just to let everyone know, I will miss everyone dearly, but I am traveling for the next few days, so I will be out until Tuesday. I will, however, be vaguely in and around Discord. So,
Hi
Good way to
guys,
say
how's
it.
it going?
what's up,
Hey,
dude?
Robbie, welcome, man. Which is a good way to say, if you're not in the Discord yet, please do jump in. It's at the link in both of our bios, and it's also at the riseupmorningshow.com. There's a bunch of Discord communities out there, but this is one where you can connect with everybody from the show. You can jump in the general chat, ask us a question, share a link if you're concerned about something, you just want a second opinion. And we will also be posting this week. I finally got the calendar thing going. We'll start live coaching classes. You'll be able to get recordings, more educational resources in the context of a community where you actually know people. Alex, thank you, brother.
I'll see you guys.
Cheers,
You have
Alex.
to
Happy
say
birthday from all of us.
Have a good day.
thanks, guys. And Homer, hi, bye. It's wonderful to see you.
Love it, Homer.
I'll see you guys.
Later, Alex. Robbie, how you doing this morning, man? Or I should say this afternoon.
Well, it's 1:30, 1:45 here in a very, very, very sunny and warm Ireland.
Well,
I
I'm
think
glad
half
that
the
it's
I
sunny
think
and warm.
half the country I think half the country is going to come out of hibernation today.
I thought of you because the other day I saw a video of an Irishman saying Ireland is full. He said this summer Ireland is full, and he pulls a pint into view, and it's like a Guinness with a real frothy top, and he said, "Of creamy fucking pints," and then he proceeds to drink it. And I
Yeah,
was
there's
like,
some
man,
really
what
good.
it must be like on a hot day in Ireland to drink a cold pint of beer, you know,
Yeah,
probably.
especially when people will tell you that it doesn't travel well.
Oh,
Well, they will. If you live here, they'll say it doesn't taste anything like it or anywhere else in the world.
that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. I look forward to one day getting to share a pint of Guinness with you in Ireland. What's going
Oh,
on? What you thinking about today, man?
well, I've got a question that might give you 10 or 5 or 10 minutes to address, which would be, what is a CTO?
A chief technical officer? Is that what you're
No,
referring to?
a community takeover.
Oh, you mean in the context of like the crypto space when the community takes over a project after it's been rugged or abandoned or something?
Yeah.
Okay. And can you give me some more context before I answer? Like what prompts you to ask this question today?
Well, I've just seen it everywhere lately. CTO, community takeover. We're doing this, we're doing that. It creates a lot of uncertainty. It who really does hold the keys to the things, and what, if any, are there legal implications similar to influencers shilling their tokens and the likes of TikTok?
I see. I see. Okay, great questions. So, good morning, William. Feel free to jump up here, and anybody who's in the community, Tori.
Oh, if William's there, I would love his legal outlook on that as well.
Yeah. Feel free to come up, Will. We're talking about CTO's community takeovers. It's a great question, Robbie. So, for people who aren't familiar, the context here is you have a project, an NFT or a token project, where a lot of people, usually it's a meme or it's just a JPEG. And there was an example, I can't think of what it was. Robbie, I don't know if you were around for this. There was an NFT project that was like a women empowerment JPEG collection. And the name is escaping me. Some of the creators were here on TikTok. It wasn't like the Wonderful Women of Web3. It wasn't the Blockchain Bells, but it was something like that. And it became kind of a prominent collection and community when it came out that the founders were, first of all, not women like they had pretended to be. They were men. They lived in Russia and they had been serial scammers. They had launched a variety of crypto projects that had rugged the community. And I don't remember the specific details of the community takeover in terms of did they buy I believe money changed hands. And what happened then, and what happens a lot, is the community becomes upset based on how something has happened, okay? And they decide either the project has been abandoned by the people who started it, like the community leaders will come and they'll say, hey, we're gonna stop this project, we don't have money. Hey, Will, feel free to cut me off or chime in here. They don't have money, they're not interested, they have just left. Then several things can happen. Usually the community is in shock, they're upset, they've invested money and time and attention, and therefore they're trying to figure out what are we going to do to solve this problem. And one of the solutions is a community takeover, where often voices in the community will emerge either by suggestion or sort of organically. These people are the leaders. And these people will propose plans, they will offer to represent the project, they will offer to take that project over and do the work of, in the case of a JPEG collection or a meme token, what are you really doing? You're spreading the word, building partnerships. I don't know. Maybe they want to create a new smart contract because the other one, nobody has the keys to it. There are a variety of things that happen in the aftermath. But the biggest problem with a community takeover that exposes one of the underlying problems with Web3 is most of these projects are hyper-centralized. Your favorite NFT collection is a team of people who hired an artist or who were on a team with an artist and a dev, and they weren't going to share the keys with everyone. Somebody somewhere has maybe at best a multi-sig wallet that the founders all have access to, and you are relying on them, just like you rely on, your favorite gaming company who just started doing NFTs to honor the terms and conditions they set for you. If they wrote that contract, if they have the keys to that contract, it doesn't matter how many token holders there are. That project is not decentralized. And nobody who's holding a token has the same kind of permissions as the person holding the keys to the contract. We often say, not your keys, not your crypto, but really we should say, not your contract, not your crypto. You know what I'm saying? And what I have seen happen a lot is I have yet to see a real super successful example of what I would call a community takeover. I've seen successful takeovers like the Pudgy Penguins, which was a buyout. One centralized leader turned into another centralized leader. We have experimented with this at Faceless Labs. We bought the intellectual property for an NFT project from people who intended to just leave it, and then tried to transfer ownership in a meaningful way to the community, but it was extremely difficult and it is still ongoing. Most of the time what happens is people are concerned about money, they're concerned about ownership, and people, like your favorite meme token that went to the top and maybe just slowly goes to the bottom, people just start to become disenfranchised and disenchanted over time. I have yet to see a truly remarkable, that's not true. There are a few examples. Governor DAO is a notable example of a project where the community did a successful takeover, created new smart contracts, and meaningfully decentralized things in a way that revitalized the project. But I struggle to think of many others. Mm-hmm. Do you have any examples, Will, or any context to add?
I can't think of any specific examples, but I feel like it happened. I feel like proportionately it happened way more with NFTs than with cryptos specifically. At least I just saw that more. Or I was just from the worst NFTs ever, which they all were. But yeah, the issue with community-driven takeovers is that the nature of it is almost always centralized because it's always led by like a smallish group of people, and they end up being in a position to be able to scoop up more of the coins or scoop up more of the NFTs, what have you. But also, they're most likely, more likely than not, already whales, and then they're in a position to accumulate more. And then you're exposed as an investor to the risks of a token or a crypto or an NFT that has a centralized supply. And what are those risks? Even if the community, even if the leaders have the best intentions, what if one of them gets hacked? All of that gets thrown into the open market. We saw that happen with Alex Labs most recently, although it's not a community-driven token. That's just an example of a hack. Or you have the community with their centralized supply slowly drip out their supply as sell-side order in order to fund the development of the project, and then you end up having like a Ripple to XRP or a Dfinity to ICP kind of situation. Or in the worst case scenario, you have like the team just ends up like dumping on you because this community, this group of people all decided to join because it's like it was hot and it was cool and it was something to do, and then they start to realize that it's not something that they want to actually get their hands dirty with, and they're like, all right, cool, I'm just going to dip, and then they dump on the market, right? And that's happens a lot because a lot of the people that join these communities, these community takeovers, a lot of the whales in them just think it'd be like a fun project to do, and then like the markets get a little red and they're like, I gotta get out of this, and they just dump because they go into this without the best intentions, and they're not really builders. Builders stay around and keep building because they're there to build, first. Like that's their passion. And a lot of these community people are really just like investors who have fun with kind of like the culty side of crypto,
Yeah, and they have an incentive. They're financially motivated to stay in.
Yeah, and the other thing too, Robbie. One thing you asked was like on the legal side of things. With cryptocurrency projects get targeted by the SEC if there's any part of them that is centralized, that gives the SEC a handful or one individual to be able to go after, or one group, one organization, right? And so if you're a decentralized cryptocurrency or NFT project, and then you start to do a community takeover and lead towards centralization, you're opening up the door to lawsuit, which is another thing to think of as well.
Yeah, all good points. Robbie, did that answer your question? Do you have other thoughts or questions?
Yeah, it was just the interesting one would be if it was a social environment and there were certain people doing the same thing as people would do on TikTok, would they fall under the same legal?
Oh, you mean like promoting their token?
Yeah, well, if guys are getting into, I don't know, whatever token, and they're setting up a CTO and the price is going to be this and the price is going to be that, is that as bad, if not worse?
I mean, yeah,
I don't
the
know if
only
it's
thing
worse,
that maybe
but
makes
it's
it,
that
if not worse. Right, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
The only thing that might make it worse is probably those, I don't know, those people are probably not as influential as the primary leaders of the project. They probably aren't gonna attract as much attention or notice, but what they're doing is, honestly, and I hate to talk about, so I won't talk about specifics, but let's just say that this is a good example. This is another reason I don't care much for creator tokens. What Will said, builders are going to build, but a lot of people who are launching tokens recently, take any number of creator tokens here on TikTok. Okay, those Telegram groups, those Twitter chats, those Discords are full, in some cases, of thousands of people who are checking in every day, who are talking about buying more, who are driving the excitement, planning a raid. Guys, we got to get the numbers up, whatever. They're looking to that founder who's saying, I'm going to make this thing go to the moon. And eventually that founder gets in legal trouble. They get burned out. They lose their money. For whatever reason, they cannot continue. And then there is a community takeover. But again, all those other problems arise. I absolutely expect that's going to happen for every single... I mean, I just don't see another ending for I don't know, unless they can transcend. Unless they can transcend it. If if the token gets enough attention that it becomes a bigger meme and becomes part of the culture. But most of those tokens, I just don't think they will.
Very good, boys. Very good. I would have paid thousands for that in a office
You
somewhere.
can still pay thousands. I'll give you my Venmo right now.
You don't want the show sponsored by Robbie Ray's shop.
Oh,
Hey,
I don't
man,
see a reason why
if
not.
you do the commercials with your own voice, I might very well take it.
Well, you see, I've started doing a few bedtime stories in my accent, and that was something
Yep.
this is a different thing I was thinking. Not just for everybody to enjoy, but at the same time for my children to be able to play me telling a story to their children.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Now, that aspect creates its own problems from if I'm reading a story from a book from an author and I tried to monetize that or somebody got a hold of the file, would I still be liable?
I mean, if you did it and you just gave it to like your kids and kept it in the family, no. But if you like took it to open market, yes, because you'd have to have permission from the author and the publishing company.
Yes,
Right.
I assume that. Now, the other thing about that, on another aspect, if I was able to put that story in a frame or in something that people couldn't download and distribute themselves, all they could physically do was listen. Would that fall under the same?
Yeah, it would, because it would be considered a public performance. And even if they weren't paying you for it, if they're paying you with likes and shares and social capital, the regulation is behind on this issue of intellectual property. But I have reason to believe that that's something that somebody, if they really wanted to, could pick on you about. I would say, why not start with works that are, keep it in your family, but also why not start with works in the public domain? There are a lot of good works in the public domain. Or you can do derivatives. Like if you tell a story in your own words, I'm pretty sure that is like if I go on YouTube and I say, and I talk about my memories of, I don't know, the Harry Potter books or Stephen King's novel, and I tell you the story, but it's me telling you the story, it is an alteration, like that's okay. So public
Yeah,
domain
well,
telling stories from memory, but
there's
anywhere
a
it's commercial.
there's a great story here in Ireland where the story of how the Giant's Causeway was made, which is
Okay.
one of the seven wonders of the world. So nobody has, well, the National Trust may do, but nobody has intellectual property over it because it's a fable made up from thousands of years ago where there were two giants, one in Scotland and one in Ireland. And the Scottish giant thought he would come over here to take over. But when the Irish giant seen him coming, he dressed himself up as a baby and got into the bed. And when the Scottish giant come over and looked in the door, he said, "Fuck this. Look at the size of that baby. That giant must be 10 times bigger than me."
Yeah. Nice.
So you never know what's around the corner, guys, but that's just the kind of thing that, I know you guys like how I speak, and over in Ireland, it's not unusual, but there is some way of not as much monetizing it, but spreading them kind of little stories and things.
Yeah,
Um,
I
for
think
sure.
somebody savvy like you could do it with GPT. Ask GPT to rewrite this story and work with it back and forth, or even help you write stories like that. And then you could just read them. I
Yeah.
absolutely think that would be. I would listen to you tell little stories like that all day.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would
Yeah.
also do really well on TikTok too if you like wanted to market it, because all those like fables are public domain, and I think people would eat that up.
Yeah, public
Or
domain
even like
stuff would
meditation
probably.
prompts.
It's developed from you guys telling me that you like my voice and other people doing the same, to me thinking about reading stories for my kids so they can read them or let them play to their kids and know it's their granddad if I'm not here, which ties in with what you were saying about your granddad, and then getting it to a point where I can use the public domain stuff to do exactly the same thing and not have any issue with anybody.
Yeah,
Very
and
simple.
then one thing that you could do too is if you start building like a little bit of an audience with that, if you wanted to, like I see Tori mentioning it too. Like I know like you would probably be in pretty high contention for like being a voice actor in the States because there's always people who have Irish or Celtic characters in their shows and they want to voice like the voice you have. So like if you could build an audience, I think there's like an extra little like hobby there, or like side project for you if you wanted.
Yeah, yeah, that would interest me, because especially for my kids, and then being able to create a wee brand around that, or even do voiceover talking for things, because sometimes we here would speak very fast and you wouldn't be able to understand the word we say. So it kind of, I've lived in a few different places in Ireland, and I've lived in a few different places in Europe. So when people hear my voice that live in Ireland, they're kind of like, where are you from? Because each kind of county has a different way of speaking or pronouncing words. So it's something I'll have a look at in the future, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
I
think
also encourage you to look into some of the AI companies now that are doing AI voiceover. Our friend Michael has a company called Podcrafter, where you can, send it text and it will turn it into a podcast. It's for people who write newsletters and want to have a podcast. Is like the main product. But you can turn your own voice into like the narrator of the newsletter. But I absolutely think he would love to have somebody with your voice on his platform. And there are lots of other AI voice products like that I think have a pretty low barrier to entry for people who just want to clone their voice for others to use commercially. I don't know if you have a microphone, but you
Do you
basically would just have to, read a
get
book or the
do you,
news for a couple hours and you'd have a clone of your voice that you could commercially lice to people and it would,
yeah,
be
and
a
do you
yeah,
get
that's a good idea.
paid? Do you get
Mhm.
paid by the word, or do you get paid
No, you
by?
probably get paid by per usage would be my guess. I don't know because I don't know it, but most voiceover contracts for actors and for commercial use are paid depending on the kind of usage. Like if somebody wants it on a TV spot versus a radio spot, how long they're going to air it, how many people are going to hear it. There are rules for all that kind of stuff. And honestly, eventually, it's the kind of thing you'd want to you if you were going to be like a commercial voice actor like that, you'd probably want to get in touch with like Actors Equity or I don't know what it is in Europe. But don't fret about that. I'd say just Google around a little more, like AI commercial voice acting or something.
Or
You know.
just get a citizenship in Guam or somewhere that has no rules?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you want the rules because the rules help you get paid. We like the union. We like the union
Yeah,
as
yeah, yeah,
actors.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll dig around and send you some resources. So before you go, I got to ask you one more question, and I want Will's take on this too, because you've been following the ASI story closely, and I feel like interest has kind of dropped off. People are a little unwary of it. What do you guys think about this fetch ocean? Everybody merging into ASI, but now it's been delayed. Is it a PR crisis? Is it a nothing burger? Has it hurt their chances to become a viable like investment in the AI crypto space? What do you think?
Well,
Wait,
I'm gonna have to say this for the first time. This is not financial advice.
Okay.
But my journey with Fetch was in 2021. I joined Coinbase and done their free training things and
oh yeah, the
the
education.
promotions. So basically, I had a little bit of it, and money that I put in to Coinbase, on occasion, I built up a bit of a portfolio from, in my money, we're talking 17p, which is probably about 20 cents. So I had split my portfolio between 4 or 5 different coins and then ended up with Fetch. I just stuffed everything into Fetch in, would it have been January? So I went then on a skiing holiday and it went from 17 pence to £2.30, which was nearly $3. So I cashed it in the USDC because not knowing what I should have done or should do, I didn't even realize that there was something stable because it was basically moving it from one coin to another. So at that point, I realized USDC. I was actually using XRP
Okay.
because it was that stable.
Yeah. There's the utility we've been looking for.
I regarded that as the best place to be. Then I moved it into USDC. So story from there. I was always, I know you say don't marry your tokens, but I got out and then kept an eye on it. So moving forward, I got a little bit more involved because I used to work in IT, and I'm interested in AI, LLM, and agents.
Mm-hmm.
So moving forward from that, they fetch. They think the future is going to be not going to Amazon, not going to Google, not going to eBay. You'll be able to basically have a trusted agent in your phone that will do a job from end to end. So, for example, if I asked my agent, whether it be verbally or by text, for a charging cable for my phone, I would put in, I need a charging cable 2 meters long with USB to C charging cable. If I had used this agent before, it would purchase that cable and it would be in the post within seconds. So I thought that's a pretty good idea. They then announced that they were bringing Ocean and AGIX together, so they're on different chains and different networks and doing different projects. Now, in the middle of all this, they also moved from the UK to Dubai, and the rumor was that they went bankrupt and they were bought out and just basically went to Dubai. I don't know if any of that is true. I've no opinion on that, but that sank the price again. So I was able to buy back in. And they basically didn't, as far as I'm aware, go bankrupt, but they reset up in Dubai for tax purposes. And probably this merger has been in the pipeline a year, maybe more.
Has it been a year? I think it was only been like 4 months.
Yeah, but when you think about it, well, behind the scenes, there's bound to have been more going on than that. They were bound to be looking at each other in some way, shape, or form. So going forward, last weekend or the weekend before, the price was starting to come down. So I was, in my head, I had two plans. I was going to wait to the merger, see what turmoil that brought, and buy in as cheap as possible. Or plan B was the DCA in as it fell because they've tried to align the tokens price-wise. So I started buying in, and it went down and it went down and it went down, and I bought in, and bought the kind of biggest amount at the bottom. So I was thinking that it was in a good position until the night before. And then the shit hit the fan.
And that's when they released that delay notice, right?
When they released the delay notice, and the whole thing just was like, this is what we told you, this is the way it's going to go, this is going to be a disaster, blah, blah, blah. But they actually picked it up pretty well. And I was that focused on it when the next morning on opening, the price shot up and I sold and got out on one candle. So I basically got in, got out without much effect in myself. But then they started then coming out with spaces, and this is what we expected. you know, it is very late for them to come out and do what they've done because they are bound to have known that this was going to happen. But because of that many scams, and they predicted that there was going to be a lot of stuff come out, they left it really to the last day before they even put out what the image of the brand was going to be. So I was expecting, or they were probably expecting that some big scam was going to come out and there was going to be a lot of FUD and somebody somewhere was going to make a lot of money out of helping people change their token
That always happens.
to ASI. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
sat
Quick,
back.
quick interruption to say, if something like this happens in the crypto space, it's a scam where there's a delay in announcement or a change of plans. If there's big news coming up with a merger or a token switching, there will be scammers who try to message you and say, "Send me your tokens, I will change them," or something like that.
The
Yeah,
other
that
Never
happens
issue,
good.
all the time.
the other issue that they had was the scams was one thing, but the ill preparation of the holders was as good as anybody could have scammed them because people had people had it on the mainnet, people had it on wallets, people had it on centralized exchanges, and they come out with a statement saying that a Fetch or ASI was going to become the first totally decentralized coin. Or no, they said that was going to be the first totally decentralized project, which I think people interpreted into they are only going to be able to use ASI on a decentralized exchange,
Oh,
which actually kind of spooked me from a point. So moving forward, the price is kiloed yesterday right down to, and in my country it's like 88 cents, which is well just over $1. So I feel with the price of Bitcoin going down, that price going down, it has recovered a bit today, but coming closer in the next 2 weeks, I'm personally just going to be keeping an eye on it and trying to take on a position when it's as low as it goes. Because once this thing comes together, comes out the other side, I think it'll do actually really well.
yeah, I think so too. But I do think it's a marketing gimmick, and I don't think there'll be any adoption. And I think ASI will eventually go into the toilet next cycle. Those are my thoughts. But I didn't stayed abreast of all the latest drama, if you will, of their announcements. So Robbie, I appreciate you giving me the breakdown because there's just so much to pay attention to.
Yeah, did you see the that it's listed on Binance or going to be on July 5th?
No, I didn't see
Yeah,
that.
they also said that they are taking exchanges and different things at a different pace. They didn't say that it was going to be a definite 15th of July. They are going to, like somebody's already came out and said that they're going to be stopping it on their exchange at a certain date. So they are handling it, I think, really well. You know, they're not just going to say this is a new contract code, your tokens will all just change overnight, because they appreciate that people have different things in different places and they can't just do that in one day. So there's going to be a ramp on and a ramp or a ramp off and a ramp on staged, from what I can gather.
Yeah.
That's
Well, the one thing I'm
that's
very
tricky.
interested to see is when it all does switch to ASI, because you've had a good amount of people who've been buying Fetch and Ocean and Singularity um, in anticipation for the ASI release and are probably going to sell that. So
Yeah, yeah,
I imagine ASI will dump out the gate and
yeah,
then
yeah,
probably pick up. I still expect ASI to be like probably the second or third biggest AI play
yeah,
in
yeah.
this cycle going forward. So like I still expect good things for this cycle. And like the idea is good where it's like, cool, we have this like AI marketplace and now we have this thing that creates and wraps up like AI apps, and I forget what one the other one's right. We're gonna have this like bigger platform. It's gonna be great. But data scientists won't use it. So, you know.
Yeah, well, I wasn't thinking of getting into it and getting married to it. I was thinking exactly what you're thinking, i.e., if it kiloed before the event, it would be an opportunity to snipe, and if it booms like day 2, day 3, sell out, and then give it a week, and when it falls through the floor, buy a half and let it sit, because by that stage will be August, then we get September, and then if we get part B of Bull Run 24, the price of Bitcoin, it's tied to the price of Bitcoin so much that I could nearly set my clock at what Bitcoin is with the price of fetch.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my plan.
Yeah, well, hey, I like that you have like a quick sell trigger. It's nice.
Oh, yeah.
Most people in crypto don't.
No, you can't take your eye off anything. And I've been in the meme circus for the last 2 weeks. I eventually got Solana bought and sent into my Phantom wallet. So I had a very interesting weekend just gone past. So it's I think coming into alts was good because it was a bit slower, and then going to memes and Sol. But here, you'll be interested to know I bought some Aerodrome.
Nice. What place did you get it?
Yeah, well, in our country, I got it at like 60-something pence.
Yeah, so like what, like 70 cents?
Something in around that, because there was also Aerodrome and Vivo also come out in Coinbase at the same time, or it's something similar like that. And I was always interested in what Aerodrome Finance actually did. So if it's the good thing for base, that's a good thing, because base is going to get bigger. But here, tell me this: what was the other one you were talking about? Well,
let's see. There's Aerodrome. There's Moonwell, which is a lending protocol. I think it's the number. If you take out Uniswap, it's the number 2 DeFi protocol on Base. And then there's, or it's number 3. And then number 2 or number 3 is Extra Finance, which is a leveraged farming solution, which is just riskier. But it does look like Coinbase is more willing to market Moonwell than they are Extra Finance. So, maybe the one you think I was talking about was Moonwell. Otherwise, I own 2 meme coins on Base. I'm not sure.
What about, was it not Alien Base?
Oh, yeah. Alien Base is one I've been keeping my eyes on. It's a competitive decentralized exchange to Aerodrome. And I've just been waiting to see if the TVL, the total value locked on it, or like just like the amount of money in it, increases, showing that like people are actually using it. And I just haven't seen that adoption yet. I've seen there is some discrepancy between what they've posted on their Twitter, because at one point they had over $30 million in TVL. But when I went on DeFi Llama, there was $15 or $14 million. Both are very small numbers, but one's twice as big as the other. And then I tweeted at them. I was like, hey, can you guys explain this difference? And they were just like, yeah, there's a bug at DeFi Llama. And I was like, well, I trust DeFi Llama as opposed to Twitter posts. So yeah, I'm going to stick with that. So I've been keeping my eye on Alien Base, but I haven't seen the user adoption recorded on DeFi Llama show me that it can be competitive to Aerodrome. But Aerodrome has a first mover advantage and such a ridiculously large advantage now at this point in terms of the amount of liquidity on it that Aerodrome is going to be the go-to decentralized exchange for. There's no competition at the moment.
Yeah.
Yes. On base.
Well, what do you think this week is? We're heading down for the next week or 2 or 3, and then a choppy summer. So
the summer is usually choppy, but right now I'm like on the fence, because the 12-week exponential moving average is looking like it kind of wants to hold. If that can hold, and that's sitting at $65,215 at the moment. And I only know that because I was looking at the chart a little bit ago. If $65,215 can hold, and that number will fluctuate as this week goes by, so pretty much 65.2. If we can end this week on that number, then there is the possibility that we can actually work to break out and head towards the 70 to 90K range over the next like number of months, right? But so that's what I'm really looking at for this week. Now, something else that's interesting that's more macro are the ETFs. So there have been two interesting trends this week with the ETF outflows. One has been the size of the outflows each day has been decreasing, except for yesterday. It basically stayed the same. It increased by $7 million, but it decreased by 45 million. No, it decreased by 35 million, and then the outflows decreased by 35 and another 45 million, and now they're kind of stable. But the really interesting thing is that from Thursday through Tuesday, 6 of the 10 or 11 spot ETF products all had outflows. Then on Friday, 5 had outflows, and then on Monday, 4 had outflows, and then yesterday, only 3 had outflows. So it does look like selling from the ETFs is beginning to dwindle and dry up. So if that trend can continue, and also it's a federal holiday here in the States today, so the ETFs aren't open today. So it looks like the ETFs are slowing down their selling, which means that buying could continue. If that can time up with us holding 65.2K, then we're in for like some exciting times, right? Over the next number of months. It's not going to be like an explosion right out the gate, mind you. It's probably going to take like another month of sideways action for the most part to then get a pop up. But if we do sell down, it's going to happen like this week or next week, and it'll probably be a fall down to 60 or 62K. And then, we just got to kind of hold on to our butts to see if we're going to start moving upwards or fall to like the mid to low 50s. So that's why I don't have an exact answer for you, Robbie, but like that's just kind of what I have my eyes on.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. So from my thoughts on the fetch thing, that come say September, October, we might see a new all-time high. Is that expected?
A new all-time high by when?
Come like the end of the choppy summer, September, October, November.
Oh, yeah, I think fall and Q4 will be good. I think we'll see a new all-time high by then, or around that time. What I'm starting to get a little more nervous about, though, is these higher interest rates that the U.S. Fed is holding. The longer we hold that, the more likely we start to have some U.S. banks start to break, and that causing a faster end to the bull market. And we just got to kind of see what happens with inflation data. We got to see what happens with the U.S. unemployment data, because that's the stuff that the Fed's looking at to gauge whether or not they're going to start doing rate cuts and start alleviating some pressure off the banks. But even then, it might be too little too late. So I've always had my opinion that if the 4-year cycle holds up, the very top of this bull run will be sometime between the summer to December of 2025. But this mess that's being created from inflation to the Fed interest rates being high, causing pressure on banks, and some might actually end up having to like declare bankruptcy, like medium-sized banks in the U.S., not the big ones. That could shorten the bull cycle for sure. So, if we get a really bullish Q3, Q4, there is something in finance and economics called a melt up, where as the economic framework is starting to fall apart and the wheels are falling off the bus, stock market and markets will have one final explosion upwards. And so if we have like an explosion upwards in this Q3, Q4 of this year, but like interest rates have remained really high, I'm going to be like, is this the melt up? Is this the melt up? Because you have this final melt up and then recession. And so like, it's a little worrying. It's definitely something to be thinking about.
Yeah.
It's just like been on my mind as I'm like in bed being like, do I sell sooner?
I can think of other things to be in bed, but here, I'm just noticing that Evan is actually, it's the first time I've ever seen him look like a listener.
I
ears.
am deeply insulted by that because, but I'll take your words to heart. I really have I strive to be a good listener.
I don't
Maybe I
think you
talked-
can get a word in with us two. But here, guys, have a real good day, a holiday, and I'll get talking to you soon again. I need to go and do a few things about home, and it was great to hear your thoughts on the CTO and Fetch and Aerodrome, and yeah, we'll have to
Yeah,
get a
have a
pint
good
of Guinness
chat.
someday.
Thanks for hopping on,
Absolutely.
Robbie.
No problem,
Yeah, and
guys.
let me say
Talk to you
really
later.
quick before you go, next time you come back, per Tori's request, we would like to hear the story about the rowan tree.
The what?
The rowan tree. I suspect
Right.
it's a myth, a legend, a piece of folklore.
Okay, send me something on Discord or something like that, and I'll catch up with you later, guys.
Sounds
You got
good.
it. Bye, Rob.
Thanks. Have a great day. See you later. Bye
Take
bye.
care. Will, do you got another second? Can I ask you one or two more questions?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so the first question is from our chat here about mentioning a minute ago that there were, I think you said you were most bullish. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it was something to the sentiment that you were like most bullish on ASI. Like it's one that you think is a good opportunity, but you may have said it was your second or third pick. And the question was, what would be your first as
Render.
the resident AI guy?
It's Render. Because the thing is Render actually solves a real world problem. ASI does nothing to solve a real world problem. It does absolutely nothing to solve a genuine problem in the global economy. Whereas, because like Render, most people probably know this, but if you don't, Render, they offer easy, cheaper access to get GPUs, to be able to get computational power for making graphical videos and doing Bitcoin mining and anything that needs intensive graphical computational power. All right. And there's a shortage in the world. The shortage is decreasing. There's really not a shortage anymore, but it is still very expensive and harder to get your hands on GPUs. So this is actually satisfying. This being Render right here. This is Render. is actually satisfying a real world problem, right? Now, how much adoption they can get, that is actually what we need to measure to see if it's going to have long-term growth. But a real-world problem and a need. ASI does not address a real-world problem. So what ASI is going to be doing is it's offering a decentralized marketplace to be able to get AI applications. Cool. And it's going to be offering tools to be able to kind of make AI and wrap it up and offer it as a decentralized application that then goes on the marketplace, right? That's basically it. I might be missing one or two things.
Well, what about the trusted agent thing? Because personally, I think the trusted agent thing, it may not be a problem now, but that's not because it isn't a problem. It's because people don't know. I think that's the number one problem of AI that people will come to understand in the future and that crypto can help solve. And I don't know enough about their particular company to know if they're advancing progress towards a meaningful solution, because I know OpenAI is thinking about that. I know Microsoft is thinking about, I know everyone is thinking about that, and they probably have a better head start.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm just laughing at Alex saying that you're a real world problem. You're a real world problem. I am a real world problem to somebody. But what was I saying?
About localized trusted agents. I think that's the number one utility that crypto can bring to AI, and that's one of the things that they say they're working on.
Maybe. I mean, maybe that's more of a need than the other things for sure. And the reason why the other things aren't needs is because you have open source culture already. Data scientists have their entire culture there. They work in open source, and no one's going to take something from a decentralized application and implement it into a business, because if it doesn't work, then you're fired. But if you buy something from a company and it doesn't work, you bought it from a respected company, and there's no risk to your job and your ability to lose it. So no one's ever going to implement decentralized AI applications into their business. Now, how that could possibly change, and this is in direction to the agents as well, is having a decentralized agent that everything is open source too. That could tie in well with the data science culture of we build just about everything open source, and this is where our community is, and this is how we prove ourselves, and this is where you earn your accolades, if you will, to be able to get a big fat paycheck from, a large company, right? So like that agent would need to be adopted basically into that open source community. But why that won't happen now is because the adoption level to using any blockchain solution is still too high. Now, the Coinbase Smart Wallet is starting to change that, so we'll be very curious to see once we start using that a bit more, and myself using it a bit more, to see kind of how that changes things. But you have this agent that you still need to get a wallet for, that you still need to kind of be a little bit blockchain savvy, right, with these things in order to operate. Your barrier to entry for people to use that is higher than someone building an agent themselves with open source code, which, if the agent is built entirely from open source code, you don't need it to be decentralized because you can already look to see exactly how the agent is built. So putting that on the blockchain does nothing to prove to a company or to a person. I mean, a normal person wouldn't be able to look at the code and be like, oh, this is good stuff. I don't know how this works, right? Right, but you can have data science vet it, right? So you already have this open source environment that you can trust because it's vetted by every single world's data scientist. So again, I don't see a single thing that ASI is doing that addresses a real world problem. And maybe there are a few things I'm missing, right? I'm always super critical of AI projects in the blockchain space, and I have erred on the side of being too critical for some things and like missing some things. Like with Render, like I was not a Render fan at first because of like AI coin. I was like, what the hell are these AI? Like when it first came out, I just wasn't a fan. Like immediately, I was just like, AI crypto, what the fuck is this shit? I was like, get the hell out of here. And that was back in like 2022 when I heard about it, right? Would have been a great time to buy, but into 2023. But yeah, so those are just my thoughts on ASI. But I do, so that's why I think Render is a better project than ASI. However, Render is also a project that might not be around next cycle because we need to see Render get adoption. We need to see more people putting their GPUs on there. We need to see more businesses and individual people coming to rent out those GPUs, right? We need to see the economy within Render grow. Because if that doesn't happen, then Render is going to ultimately end up being next cycle a coin that people buy into because they're like, oh, this is one of the hottest coins in the last cycle. And then it doesn't get back to its all-time high because you just have like a bunch of salty bag holders who are just dumping on it because it didn't get adoption, right? That is still the threat for Render. But I like Render more than ASI because it addresses real-world problems. And there's nothing that I see in a major way, maybe there's some small things, that ASI is going to address that addresses a real-world problem.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent answer, my friend.
Yeah.
The next question I have for you. You feel like you're on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire yet? Where's your money? Is about the ETFs, ETFs again. We had a lot of questions in the chat, and I'm going to try and summarize them, and we can give our takes on these things. Because yesterday, for anybody who doesn't know, the SEC dropped their lawsuit against the Ethereum Foundation. They had a lot of pressure from Consensus. What's that?
I said, woo!
I know, right? Isn't it great? It's like Christmas came early. And the markets are reacting a little bit. ETH has been, kind of up and down since the ETF news in a sort of a range there. And I think people are curious what we think the implications of the lawsuit, the implications of the ETF will be, not just for the price action of Ethereum, the network and the token, but also Cosmic Crypto is asking in the chat, like, what about the layer twos? ETH as an ecosystem, it's the biggest in terms of there's the most stuff there. And all of it is going to be affected by these different things, I think. So I'm just curious. You can talk about price, certainly, and you touched on that a little already. But what do you think? What do you think are some of the other things we can expect to see now that it's not a security, it's a commodity, or and what's that going to mean for Base, for Matic, for I don't know, whoever's building on ETH? Are we finally going to get cheap gas fees?
Well, we're getting cheap gas fees now.
Yeah, right. Don't expect it for long.
Just gotta use the L2s. But yeah, we'll see what happens at peak market. Well, I wouldn't be worried at all about Base from a legal standpoint because they don't have a coin, right? So you don't have to worry about that. The thing to keep your eyes on are the Coinbase and Binance lawsuits, specifically the Coinbase lawsuit. Because even though Binance is technically bigger internationally, Coinbase is being made king by BlackRock and the powers that be.
And has a more vested interest in Ethereum as a network, I would say.
Yeah, far more so. And so is BlackRock. BlackRock is far more invested in Ethereum as a network also, in a very large way. So the Coinbase lawsuit is the big thing to keep your eyes on, because now that Ethereum is basically being seen as a commodity and not as a security, that means that the roughly 20 or 15 or so cryptos that the SEC has targeted Coinbase for offering as unregistered securities probably don't have a single leg to stand on in court, which means, and if that lawsuit poof goes away, that will enable Coinbase to essentially have a carte blanche approach to the crypto market. You're going to see them marketing Base like crazy. You might even see them list a Base coin and do an airdrop at some point in the future, right? And you're going to see mass euphoria come for altcoins, because you're going to go like, oh, the legal pressure is off of altcoins. And the same thing would probably happen with Binance too. But you would most likely see, like, if that timed up with like the end of this year, you know, although probably not, because it would affect the election. So it would probably happen before or after the election. So maybe Q1 of next year. But if that happened and then you start to see Bitcoin dominance fall, it would probably trigger an altcoin season, like a legit altcoin season, not what we've seen over the past year where you had like a handful of coins doing well alongside of Bitcoin. I mean, like a genuine altcoin season where even shit's going up in value, right? And that's a fun time to be in the market. So that's where my head immediately goes with this ETH lawsuit being dropped. It means, cool, we're getting one step closer to this Coinbase lawsuit getting dropped. If that happens, Coinbase and BlackRock have a carte blanche approach to do whatever they want, market whatever they want, sell whatever they want in the US market. And it means we're also one step closer. I don't think this will come for a long time, but we're one step closer to staking being turned on the Ethereum ETF. I don't expect that to happen for 1 or 2 years, maybe even 3 years, honestly. It's probably going to take some time. But then that would actually increase demand for the Ethereum ETFs, which I think are going to be really low at the gate. But that's a different topic, right? But that's where my head goes immediately. And so if you have this alt season start erupting, you have Coinbase get unfettered to rush out the gates because the SEC isn't holding them back anymore. They're going to promote the hell out of Base, because that's also the the best interest of their shareholders, because they make revenue off of it, but also of BlackRock too. And you're going to have a whole bunch of stuff coming out from Coinbase and BlackRock about what they want to do with crypto at that point. And you're going to get all these news announcements, and there are going to be all these pump events. And then the good times will eventually end, probably like 6 months after that point. But, you know, that's where my head is.
That's excellent. So I think it's all well, you know, we'll see when we get there. I think it's very well reasoned. And I would just add all of this for the L2s. I think the L2s are mostly where the action is going to be. Base, obviously, 100%. It's going to be a superstar. But I would also look to tokens, not just L2 blockchains, but, you know, we're talking about what is an L3. Highly specific use cases that extend the functionality of the Ethereum network. And one of them that I'm really looking at is going to be anybody offering staking as a service, liquid staking derivatives, security as a service by providing proof of stake. Projects like Eigenlayer. I'm thinking about Athena. I think that is a place where activity is going to just explode, especially if institutional investors can go there. If they can go there, then I think one of the misunderstood, undervalued, not well explained at this time, you know, utilities of blockchain is like decentralization and security as a service that can be offered through proof of stake. Like, I don't know what to say about it helpfully, concisely here, but that's where I expect to see one of the biggest impacts from the ETFs, and also like ongoing lawsuits as they're resolved. I think is going to be huge. Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, Will, if it happens, you know, you're talking about staking in a year or two, maybe for the ETFs, but I think we're going to get other kinds of workarounds. Like BlackRock's Biddle Fund is a really underappreciated innovation. I think we're going to start to see more instruments like that that bring people and institutions on chain, accelerate like the velocity of their money. I don't know.
I don't know.
I agree.
I would just rant and rave about it. I need to think about concisely like how I would phrase it, but it's going to be huge.
Oh, speaking of L3s, you reminded me that Eigenlayer is the first crypto that has been listed on Coinbase's perpetual market.
Oh, and that's huge too. The perp market. You were talking about that yesterday, weren't you?
Yeah, I
Was
was. But I did see it's being it's on Coinbase International, so I don't think it's going to be offered to folks in the U.S. So a little sadder, but I need to do a deeper dive in it. I just saw it's powered by Coinbase International, so I was like, okay, well then it's probably just for international clients. But them putting Eigenlayer on there because Eigen's not already listed on Coinbase.
Oh, it's not. I
No,
don't buy
I
a ton of
think
stuff on Coinbase, so I don't know.
I don't think it is. I'd have to double check. But that to me would be a surefire sign that it's about to be if it's not already.
Oh man, yeah, absolutely. And they, I think a lot of people, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I think a lot of people misunderstand Eigenlayer. I think they have the classic problem of like devs doing dev stuff, and it's not interesting to speculators because they haven't grasped it or understood it. But I would recommend anybody who wants to understand it and get a sense of awe for it to go listen to Unchained. Laura Shin has a great episode. She has two. With the Eigenlayer team, and they just speak so cogently and clearly about what this will do to scale the infrastructure of blockchain, the Ethereum virtual machine specifically, that it's hard to come away and be like, Eigenlayer, I don't know.
I thought Eigenlayer was a Ponzi scheme when I first heard of it, and then I was on a live with you guys, and I was like, I don't trust this shit at all. And you're like, really? I think it's actually solid. And I was like, well, I'll take a look in the white paper. And then the night before we hopped on our next live, I was like, all right. I have all these holes to poke an Eigenlayer, and every single time I poked, I just like hit hard concrete, and I was like, "Huh? Well, what about this problem?" And it was like in their white paper, which was incredibly technical, but in like a beautiful way. Like they had an answer for every single problem I could possibly think of, and I was like, "Shit!" And then it came on live, and I was like, "Evan, you were right. They seem solid." I was like, "It actually seems like a solid platform."
Right?
Yeah.
Like a rock.
Well, we'll see. Then it ends up exploding in like what?
Will, do you know anything about the tokenomics of Aether?
No, because I haven't dived into Aether. I know Mac's a big fan of Aether, and all I know is from one video I watched of him. I know it has like some various hardware and stuff like that, and I'm just not a big fan of cryptos that offer hardware, but I haven't done a deep dive in it. I've been meaning to. But the only reason why I'm able to stay on this live today is because it's a federal holiday in the U.S. But otherwise, I'm in my Q4, and I'm just stressing about my deals that I gotta close. So, like, I just haven't had a ton of time.
Yeah, I get it. So I haven't dived into the tokenomics either, but I share Will's sentiment. The only reason I pay attention to Aether is because Mac paid attention to Aether, and he's a friend of mine. And what I will say about Mac as an investor, Mac is really good at spotting projects that will catch the kind of attention that will lead to an increase in their price, increase in their market cap. He also understands, the fundamentals and can have a conversation about what projects are likely to become big companies that change the world. But where he's really focused as an investor is like, what's going to make me money right now, more than maybe Bitcoin, and is good at balancing those things. So a lot of the things that I think Mac invests in are companies that are probably not going to be around next bull run. Mac knows how to get in. He knows how to get out. He knows how to read the signs and pay attention before everybody else is watching. And the impression I have of Aether is the impression I have of like BlockDAG, is the impression I have of anybody who's selling a piece of hardware, or like, I don't know, mining because you bought their phone, you bought their device or whatever. I think it's appealing for people to think like, I'm going to get a miner and I'm going to get some tokens and I'm going to be early. And they probably will make money if they sell it at the right time. I don't know that I buy the hype around the DPIN movement. I really, you talk about it with Render, like decentralizing GPU. I get that processing, but I don't think the crypto token is necessary. I think it creates a competing incentive where people will speculate on the price of the token. And then people who want to use the token to do a thing like buy compute or, whatever, validate a thing, they're not going to want to use a volatile token to do it. I just don't think it's a good way to set up token incentives.
And I'm kind of bearish on anybody who does that, because really the incentive that wins in the short term is number go up speculation. And usually that kills the project in the medium to long term, in my experience. And it appears to me that that's what Aether is doing. I also feel like they have, I haven't seen their unlock schedule, but it looks like they have advisors, team, early investors, and I would be willing to bet that there's like a float situation there, meaning like when their tokens unlock, they will sell it on you. And then you will become a salty bag holder in order to gain some profits. And then there will be no one left to buy in because the company hasn't done anything. Would be my guess. Totally open to being wrong. Because I don't know.
Probably gonna happen.
But probably going to happen.
Probably.
If you get in early and you get some tokens and you can be one of those people who sells them, then probably, probably a lot of these companies that are going nowhere would be good in your portfolio. But most people, I don't think, are going to time it well. I think most people are going to buy it on the way up, sell it too late.
Yeah, that's well, the masses end up being exit liquidity. It's free markets aren't a happy, fun, go lucky place, everybody. It's kind of a big fish eats the small fish. So try your best to be the really fast small fish or a big fish yourself.
Yeah. And somebody at Yummy Tummy who asked about it. First of all, I love your username, and second of all, you say please make time to research it. We can do our best. I really would underscore that Mac has given an opinion on it, but I would urge you to tell us more about what you have found in your research. Jump in the Discord and share with people what you're finding. And if you are kind of like puzzled, you're trying to find good crypto projects, you don't really know how to research, that's the place to be. Alex and I have a great long form video. All of us have short form content about how to do good research. And Will just published a template that he uses to research tokens with questions to help guide you, examples. I think they can get it at your bio. I think people are having problems with it in the Discord shop, but stay tuned. There are ways to get it.
Yeah, you can get it in my bio.
You can get it in his bio, and we can help you become the person you are most confident in, because you don't want to have to just trust us. We all have different perspectives. We all have different strengths and weaknesses, and it's great to be able to talk about it, but we want you to feel confident. So let us know how we can help you do that. Will, I probably got to ride my pony into the sunset because I got to get to the Charlotte airport and take me and Lucy the dog home.
I just wanted to show everybody my new pirate ship that I got on my wall of silly nerdy things. Ooh, new pirate ship.
Is it a particular ship? Is that like based on a real ship, or is it just a cool ass ship?
No, it's just a ship my brother sent me. He was like, "Hey, dude, I was in Portofino in Italy," and he was like, "I found this ship and I liked it, so it's yours now." And I was like, "I love this ship." I was like, I love this ship.
I mean, it's a cool ship. I imagine that after we hang up the live, you're gonna take like a little Lego guy and put him on the ship and go.
No, what I'm thinking about doing is I think the rubber duckies should go there, especially Iago. Because Iago is a pirate. Sometimes he goes by the Italian name of Il Quacco, which is also, I think, a good. He's the El Quacco. He'll be like, "Che cazzo etse?" And then he'll be on his little boat doing his little piratey stuff. So I think he's having a good time.
I just love that you pronounced every syllable in the name Iago. I think that is.
Because it's he's one of the best villains of all time, and B, it's just good. Iago.
Now, are you talking about the Aladdin villain, or are you talking about the Shakespeare villain for which he is named?
Shakespeare.
Yeah.
What did you say? I only think about Shakespeare.
Listen. But also the Gilbert Gottfried Iago was pretty iconic. Let's be honest.
I mean, like, we know where he came from. My Iago.
Listen, man. Do you have a final thought, good joke, word of wisdom for us?
I don't know, guys. It's a really emotional time in the market, but selling when markets are red is not a good financial decision. Buying when they are is. If you are underwater and you're holding your position, remember how much this pain hurts. Remember how much this pain feels. Remember how maybe even silly or dumb or stupid that this, buying the tops has made you feel, and use that to motivate you to hit the sell button when we get the next pump. And don't sell all of it, average your way out. But when you get that feeling of like, oh, I'm going to be rich if I just hold this coin for longer, that is a really good time to start selling, because that is when you start losing money. So remember the feelings of pain to motivate and advance your selling strategy. Set that in place for the future.
Man, couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you very much for jumping up. We will be back tomorrow. Same time, same. We'll be back tomorrow. Today is Wednesday, right? I hope so. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. Visit the riseupmorningshow.com to find our replays, to find the newsletter, to find the link to the Discord community, and join us over there, won't you? Because it's a lot of fun. Thank you for the likes, for your attention.
I also got these cute pigs. These cute pigs are nice. That was a good one.
Well,
I saw it in a store, and it made me think of me and my girlfriend after eating quesadillas, and I was like, look at us. Look at us. We're adorable.
You are the most wholesome, lovable guy I know on this app. I have to say, I'm really, really grateful. When Alex called me, real quick story before I jump off, is that Alex called me one day, and I think I was walking into the library, and he said, hey, I want to know what you think about inviting someone else to join us this week on the show, and maybe a couple times going forward. I was like, okay, who is it? Somebody I know? He's like, I don't know. He's this guy I've been watching who has great content, who really is an excellent researcher, and he is giving you some roses. And he said his name is Will, and I said I've never heard of this guy. I said I mean, okay, great. If I trust you implicitly. And then I went and saw one or two of Will's videos, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's great. Had him on the show, loved it. But it wasn't really Will until I got to understand what a truly fun-hearted, nerdy guy, just like me, you are, that I was like, this guy is my boy.
Yeah, when I hopped on the first call and we just started talking about nerd stuff, I was like, these people are good.
These are my people. Yeah.
Because he only has one move, it's Splash. It's his one move.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He'll become Gyarados.
Don't piss him off because he'll evolve. So.
Yeah, he'll evolve. Be his friend.
Yeah. Thank you, my friend. And thank you, my friends. We will see you back on the show tomorrow. Jump in the Discord. Visit the riseupmorningshow.com. And until next time, as always, everybody.
Bye-bye. Have a beautiful day.